Hey guys, so I found this book over here at the store. It was actually in Walmart, and it just grabbed my attention because it's a very thin book. And as you can see, it says how to deal with toxic people. I was like, yo, that goes along with what I've been talking about. Because the reason why I've kind of been going over some of this information about toxic traits and everything is because I am approaching about a 1-year anniversary from leaving a toxic situation. Okay. And that is not easy to do. It's not easy for anybody to do. It's not an easy decision to do. I understand that. I mean, maybe it was a little easier for me in the way that maybe I have less patience or something. I just don't put up with toxic treatment. I never have. I mean, there is a line, that I think is crossed with people who are just disrespectful, or you just don't get along with, or you just don't have the best rapport with. These cherries are so good. They're from Aldi. They're the bomb. These taste so good. These are like candy to me right now. Anyway, I understand that for a lot of people, it's like you have a hard time just up and leaving. But I think because I generally have higher self-esteem, and I just don't tolerate bad treatment from anybody. I never have, and I didn't grow up like that, and I didn't grow up seeing that. And so therefore, my lines don't get very blurred, or not easily blurred, between what is toxic and what's not, or what is good treatment and what's not, what's okay and what's not, for me. And so I think because of that, I can tend to make decisions more quicker than others. And it can be a good and a bad thing. It can be a bad thing if you prejudge somebody or prejudge a situation too fast, but it can be a good thing in that I don't stay very long enough to get hurt, or long enough to have serious damage done. I mean, you're going to get hurt. People are going to get hurt if you're dealing with anybody toxic. But in any case, I'm approaching about 1 year from moving out from my experience with a narcissist. And, until then, I had only ever really read or seen my friends go through things like this, right? But, I guess that was a lesson I needed to, go ahead and get schooled up on a little bit more in the, in person instead of reading. In any case, it didn't take me very long to identify and shift fast. But it goes to show you how fast your life can actually change in 1 year. From making a decision to remove toxic people out of your life, or anybody who's toxic to you. Okay? And so for this past year, I've definitely been on a quest of making sure that I get all of my words and my thoughts and feelings out, for the future benefit of my boys and anybody else who cares to listen. It's also a form of therapy for me to talk. So, but it's my own personal journey, as far as like, I have actually wanted to talk and be on YouTube for other things for a lot longer, way before any of this, but the way life was going and stuff, and my past partners who were just like, I don't want you doing that, whatever. Anyway, here I am now, and so I figured I'll just start here. I would jump in with this situation and start vocalizing my thoughts instead of them just being in my head, and how I arrived from this conclusion to that conclusion, or how I have moved through and made certain decisions, right? But in 1 year, not only did I remove the toxic person out of my life for good, okay, but changed my place of residence twice, added to my financial abilities by adding another license and been blessed with guidance by Jehovah and help by friends and family, but mainly my family. And I'm blessed with, a different vehicle so that I was definitely not attached to that toxic person at all. Okay. And revamped my life. And because I had my kids very, young compared to a lot of people, like my girlfriend who's older than me, but she has little ones. Okay. My kids, I had them younger, so they're older. And they, I'm done with school with them, so I get the opportunity to kind of like a fresh start, because it's like, oh, I got the ability to kind of redo my life again, and actually it's a blessing. Actually, I'm way happier than I really even thought. This time last year, I was kind of stressing out, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't know how I was going to actually get there. I just knew that God was going to help me. Jehovah always helps me. He has always helped me. When I've always acted out of honesty and good intentions, and whenever I've needed to be scooped out of a situation or protected from something, he has always done that for me. So I knew he was going to help me with this because he was guiding me. But in the past, when I've dealt with certain toxic people or toxic even clients, potential clients and everything, I just remove myself from the situation, and it's kind of easier when you're not intimately involved with that person, okay? But sometimes we don't have no choice, right? And so that's where delving into toxic behaviors and things like that and traits and learning how to identify them right away can help save you future harm, future problems, and just keep you from having too many issues, from racking up issues and issues and issues because of somebody else in your life who's toxic, right? And it can cause a lot of damage. So because I come from the type of family and mother who taught me a lot about human psychology at a young age and everything, a lot of this stuff comes very natural to me, but I still find it to be very informative and interesting to continue to take in knowledge about human psychology and human psyche and different types of issues that people can have. Okay. Anyway, this book is by Gregory Jantz, PhD. It says with Keith Wall. Anyway, this is what it looks like. It was at Walmart. It was like $6.99. It was really cheap. And I haven't read it all because I actually just got it like last hour. And I just started just reading a little bit because obviously I'm a talker. I don't want to have like 5-hour long videos, okay? But I'm going to just read a little bit from it. First of all, the back, which made me go, I just like the way it's breaking it down. I think it's a very easy, I like easy reads. I like very, very easy, elemental, 1, 2, 3 kind of, I like when things are broken down like that, especially in book form. Okay, it says the deceiver, the gaslighter, the guilter, the control freak, and the put down artist. They are toxic people, and they create turmoil in relationships of all kinds. Toxic people keep you off balance, making you feel as if you are the dysfunctional one. Okay, it says, in How to Deal with Toxic People, this book, Dr. Gregory Jantz helps you find the courage and the tenacity you needed to take the first steps towards wholeness and well-being. You'll discover how to spot the toxic people in your life and how to deal with them in effective and biblical ways. You deserve to be treated by others with respect and dignity. Learn how to set and hold boundaries and reclaim your life. Okay, so I just kind of liked how that little bit, how it broke down. That's what made me, I said, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and get it because it's a real easy read. And I thought I could discuss some of what I've already read, okay? So, let's see. In the very beginning, it says, the tyranny of toxic people. So, I'm just going to read the little parts that I've actually highlighted. It says, the traits that qualify these people as toxic often become a significant drain on the mental and emotional well-being of others, sowing discord and dysfunction in every aspect of daily lives. Okay, and it says, is that a bit overstated and dramatic? I don't think so. Chances are, if you've ever had to live with a truly toxic person in your life, you don't think so either. So again, toxic, it says toxic often refers to a significant drain on a person's mental and emotional well-being. If that's what's happening to you, you're likely dealing with somebody toxic. Okay? If you feel drained and mentally and emotionally drained, your well-being is, being questioned, you're probably dealing with somebody toxic. Okay, and so it says, we'll examine the kind of behavior that defines a toxic person, the common origins of toxic traits, the ways in which a toxic person impacts the lives of others, and most important of all, what you can do to protect yourself from toxic people. Okay, and it says a moving target. So it says it's necessary to define precisely what we mean by the term toxic people. And that turns out to be trickier than it first appears. In fact, a hallmark of a toxic behavior is that it frequently keeps one off balance through its inconsistency by deftly deflecting blame or responsibility, playing on the goodwill or guilt of others, outright gaslighting, and making others feel as if they are the dysfunctional one. Okay, so I'm going to read that part again. It says the hallmark of toxic behavior is that it frequently keeps one off balance through inconsistency by deflecting blame or responsibility. Nope, not my fault. I ain't do that. Nope. They'll turn things around so fast, and if you say, that hurts my feeling, well, it's because of you. Right away, you, blah, blah, blame, deflect, it ain't my fault, I ain't do it. Nah. It's like they want to throw your feelings back into your lap. Like, you're not allowed to have any feelings. You're not allowed to be like, oh, that hurt my feelings, or whatever. You're not even allowed to say, they don't want to take the blame for that. Playing on the goodwill or guilt of others. So they'll guilt you. Oh, you can't leave me. I have 12 of your kids. Now, I'm not suggesting anybody just leave just for a reason, but I'm saying, if you're dealing with somebody toxic, I don't care if you have 1 kid or if you have 12 kids. I don't care how many kids. That's just how I feel. I'm going to take all the kids and leave. Bye, Felicia. That's me. But then again, I'm not scared to be by myself. And I know God always over and abundantly blesses me way more than any man on earth could ever actually do. But anyway, that's another subject. But again, guilt, like, they'll guilt somebody. Like, me and you don't get along. We're always arguing all the time. We can't even stand each other. We don't even want to look at each other. You have really a horrible relationship, but for whatever reason, you knocked that girl up 3 times. And it's like, we got 3 kids, and I can't drive, and I can't do this, and I'm sick, and I'm that, and you can't leave me because, what am I going to do with all of the kids? I can't live on my own. Your mom will be so mad at you. Oh, what would your family say? Oh, what would so-and-so say? Well, and blah, 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 blah. And they'll come up with, whatever reason in the world why, to try to guilt you out of, oh, the kids are going to miss you. Oh, the kids are, you're going to leave me here all by myself. Anyway, whatever guilt whatever they can come up with, okay? Whatever they can come up with as a way to guilt you into staying, right? To make you feel like, well, you always just push off your responsibility and blah, 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 right? Knowing that it's a toxic situation going on between the two of you, right? Knowing that you probably don't even want to, look at that person, much less stay in a relationship with that person, right? But it's like, I'm going to guilt you and make you feel bad if you leave. So because we have a piece of paper, we got this piece of paper that says we're married, we're together. You have to stay here. You have to stay right here, blah, 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 blah. You owe me this. I did that, whatever. That's guilt. That's guilt tripping. A mother would do that too. Oh, you better not make my grandchild cry. Oh, you better not make me cry. You remember your own father didn't stay around. Your own father couldn't do this, and I am, that's enmeshment, and that's, mother's guilt. Fathers do that too to their sons or whatever. Mothers will do that to their daughters. Oh, You never take care. You never even, since you have your own family, you've never called to check on me anymore. My feelings don't matter. It's like, they guilt you, right? You'll hear this kind of stuff happen all the time. And, sorry, I'll call him back. Anyway, so, okay, the other thing is playing on the goodwill, guilt, okay, outright gaslighting, making others feel as if they are the dysfunctional one. So it's like, no, the sky is not blue, that sky is red. I don't know what you're talking about, that sky is red. The sky is not blue, the sky is red. Or, we never argued about XYZ. I don't know what you're talking about. Knowing good and well that you had an argument last night, or whatever, about something dumb, and you might say something like, well, you acted like you didn't want me to make fish for dinner or whatever, and because you said you didn't like whatever, yada yada. And they're like, no, I didn't say that. No, that's not what I'm. No, you took that all the wrong way. I didn't say that. No, I mean outright, like, it's basically like, I love when Rachel Maddow on NBC. I love to watch her on her show, Rachel Maddow, whenever she comes on. I love to watch her because she breaks things down so good. And I love when she says, don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe your lying eyes. It's like, your eyes might be seeing that the grass is green and the sky is blue, but don't believe that. I want you to believe my snake oil that I'm feeding you right now. I want you to believe whatever I'm selling to you right now. Okay, don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe what your body is sensing. Don't believe what your mind is telling you. Don't believe what your God is telling you. No. Believe what I'm saying to you right now. Gaslighting. That's called gaslighting. Okay? And it says, the first step towards dealing effectively with negative relationship in your life is simply gaining the confidence to call it what it is. Toxic. So when it talks about gaining the confidence to just call a spade a spade. You call a spade in his face, in their face. You're toxic. I mean, sometimes you might have to outright say, you're the devil. I rebuke you. Satan, get from behind me. That's what I do. Okay? Yeah, they may not like it. Nobody wants to be called that. But listen, if you're portraying a toxic trait to me in front of my face, you're acting crazy, whatever, that's what I'm about to do. I'm about to rebuke you and go. I'm not hanging around. Nobody wants to hear that, but that's what needs to be done. Okay? Now, a lot of people don't have the balls to do that. A lot of people don't have the whatever to do that. I do, but this is what this book is about. Knowledge is power. Because when you have knowledge and okay, this and this and this and this means this is toxic, this is gaslighting, this is the clinical form, this is whatever. When you have knowledge, you understand also that a toxic person never admits and says, I'm toxic. Now, a healthy person who has some toxic traits can do some self-reflection and have a come to Jesus moment and be able to reflect, analyze, and actually, if they're healthy or they have a healthy mental balance, they can say, I need to change this. I don't know why I'm acting like XYZ. I do need to change this and that. Man, that was embarrassing. I don't know why I behaved that way. I apologize. And that kind of person can take responsibility for their actions or for whatever they say, right? And that's not a truly toxic person. That's a person who might display some toxic traits from time to time or resort back or fall back into an old pattern or something. Maybe based on the way they were raised in their childhood or their family or whatever, like everybody yelled and screamed in their family, so they're just yelling and screaming right now, okay? Because it's easy for them to fall back into that pattern, right? But that's not the same thing. Okay, so it says on the other hand, the term toxic people comes dangerously close to attaching judgment to individuals and not just the behaviors they exhibit. It says, as we will see, toxic traits are often rooted in past traumas or underlying mental disorders that cry out for treatment, not harsh condemnation. That is not a rationale for ignoring or enduring the effects of a toxic person in your life. It is simply a reminder to safeguard basic human value and dignity, even though the most challenging people among us, while at the same time learning to protect yourself. So it's saying that this understanding that a lot of times people who are toxic, they were saying how it says so it's saying how we don't want to attach judgment. Okay, that's not what we're trying to do here. We're not attaching judgment, but what we are doing is basically calling out and not being afraid to call out toxic behaviors when you see them, when they're being displayed by whoever. A boss, a friend, a family member, a wife, a husband, a future husband, an ex-spouse, or a child. Maybe you have grown children and you got to call them out too. Okay, whatever that toxic behavior is, right? You can't be afraid to call it out. Say what it is based on whatever, but you can do it in love, but you still may need to, that is not calling or understanding that a person has a mental disorder, or even understanding that a person has gone through a lot of traumas that might have even caused some mental distortions, is not a rationale for staying around. Now, let me also explain something else. There is a real thing that when you have gone through something very traumatic, it absolutely does change your brain. It changes your brain, the shape of your brain. It changes your brain. There's actual scientific studies or whatever that have shown this. There is a name for this. There is an actual name for this. I forgot the name of it now. But the Bible has actually talked about this too. There's a scripture in the Bible. I didn't know I was going to bring this up, so I'll have to look it up. But I remember reading about this when I lost my husband and I went through that very traumatic situation of losing him suddenly, very suddenly, right? And I remember reading there and a few other places, I've read this several times, that when you go through something very traumatic, it changes your brain fundamentally. And there's examples of this. You've heard of, for example, a lot of people have heard of the story of like Ray Charles, when I think he saw his brother get shot or something like that. I don't remember now, but it was so traumatic for him, he went blind. I don't remember now. I have to look that up, so I don't want to say, because I don't remember all the facts, but I just remember reading something to that effect, that basically it was too overwhelming for his brain, his body to comprehend, and it's like his brain shut down his eyes or something, I don't want to see that. That's an extreme form, but your body everybody reacts to trauma differently. Some people just shut down, they pretend they don't see stuff or whatever. But it can actually change who you are, or it changes your brain. With your brain, when your brain changes, that changes who you are. It changes how you show up in the world. It can change fundamentally the character of who you are, for good or bad. So for example, for me, losing my first husband very suddenly was very traumatic for me, and it created a different default in myself. When I say default, it changed my default personality for a while. And I went from feeling very abundant and an abundant personality and abundant mentality that I trained myself to really be in, from my past jobs and from my learning different things and everything. Like, I was really into that, and all of a sudden I went into scarcity mode and a lack mentality. And it was hard to pull myself out of that. It was very, very hard. And it was like I was defaulting to that every morning. It was like every day I had to fight to create joy or happiness or a reason to smile. And it was very hard for a long time. So it does change. It can change you, right? Now, sometimes it changes people where it shows up in these very, very, very toxic traits and ways like this, where you're dealing with a gaslighter or someone who wants to make you feel guilty for things. It says, with that in mind, now I'm gonna read this and then I'm gonna cut it off because I don't want it to be too long. But here's the actual definition from Psychology Today, okay, of what toxic is, or toxic person, okay? Toxic is obviously not a formal psychology term, but rather a descriptive of how people often feel when dealing with certain individuals. Toxic describes interactions where boundaries are often blurred, where individuals themselves and or their behaviors where their behaviors are felt to be difficult, challenging, demanding, often adversarial. Toxic relationships are not fueled by the mutual care and support, but are often skewed by to accommodate an individual's needs or demands. Needless to say, these are not healthy relationships, and often, whether meaning to or not, toxic behaviors chip away at the equality of the participants and corrupt whatever could be good in a relationship. Okay. So toxic relationships are not fueled by mutual care and support, but often skewed by to accommodate an individual's needs or demands. So if you're dealing with someone who is very needy and demanding, probably very toxic. Another way to recognize you've got a problem is to notice how interaction with toxic person makes you feel. No healthy relationship will cause you to feel, and I'm going to just read these, this is the last bit, read these bullet, or I can't see, okay, these bullet points. It says, no healthy relationship will cause you to feel physically or emotionally drained after spending time together. This to me is like a no-brainer. But again, I was raised to understand, like, check yourself, check how you feel when you leave somebody. Like, check your energy. My mother taught me that from a very young age. Okay? Reduce confidence in yourself or enjoyment of your life. Okay? So no healthy relationship will cause you to feel reduced confidence in yourself or enjoyment of your life. So if anybody that you're with is saying, you can't do that, you never could do this, you're not good at that, or you think you're so great, or you think you're this, or they can't even tell you that you're beautiful, because why? If they tell you you're beautiful, your head is going to get puffed up, and you'll probably, go cheat on them or leave, or you might think you're going to be better than them because, as if they tell you, as if when they say you're beautiful, you're just going to go sky high. Okay, so in other words, a healthy relationship, you will not feel a reduced amount of confidence. You should not walk away leaving, talking from that person, feeling less about yourself or enjoyment of life. Okay, and it says a healthy relationship, no healthy relationship will cause you to feel guilty for not doing more to solve their problems, confused about your boundaries or beliefs, or frustrated that your needs, thoughts, and feelings don't matter. Okay, so no healthy relationship is going to make you feel like that. If you feel like that in any way, shape, and form, drained, less confidence, guilty for not doing more to solve the problems, confused, if you're feeling confused or frustrated that your own feelings are not being heard or they don't matter, you're not in a healthy relationship. That's not a healthy relationship. A healthy relationship does not result in anything like that. Healthy relationship results in you feeling better about yourself, happier, calm, which is why I say, I pray to God, don't send me any more, I don't want these men to talk about we're destined, you're my twin flame, you're my soulmate, you're my this, you're not coming up and trying to say, like I've had some of these guys I've had one in particular who tried to say that or whatever, and I don't care about any of that. To me, a soulmate is calming. I don't want any kind of tumultuous, crazy, up and down, emotionally draining relationship. I don't care what you call it. I don't care what you call it. I know I like calm and peace. I want to argue about stuff. I don't want to go back and forth. I want to be hyped up. I don't want to feel drained. I don't want to feel more tired, mentally or physically, because all of that mental gymnastics to me makes me want to take a nap. I don't want to make love. It's like, if I have to go back and forth and fight over cup holders or dumb stuff, whatever, in a relationship, the last thing I want to do is go and lay down with that person. I mean, I'm talking about in a marital relationship, or in a boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, like marital relationship. Okay, to me, that's just not how I want romantic relationships to feel. That's just not what I'm used to, and that's not what I want. In any case, I'm gonna keep going over. I just got this book like in the last hour. It has a lot of really good information, and I love because of how small it is. So I'm gonna, continue to go through this, and then I will continue to read different points from this book that I feel are very good and I think stand out. I will continue to go over them, but I'm sure that this book there may be a video or something here on YouTube of somebody who has gone through and can do like a synopsis of it, where you can get somebody sharing the basics of the book. Anyway, and then also maybe AI. I have to go on AI and see if they have like a summary. Usually they have that as well. I still like to read. I still like to put pen to paper and highlight and stuff like that. I still like to do that. I think it grows your brain, and I think it helps you to get knowledge and help it to stick in your head. Okay, anyway, that's enough. 30 minutes. Talk to you later. Bye.